by a low res. They had not faced each other yet, right? So they're all going to against each other for the first time, at least here. But if this is a lifetime first between these two, I'm very excited to see the outcome of this matchup. As we're going on the Demon Island for game number 1, and this is where Hyper lost to stock in 12 seconds. But I don't see any Katars this game, TWK.
No, it's just all tongues and rats. I don't know how you feel about that, but right now Kaio is putting in that work.
I'm uncomfortable. That's you say tongues and rats, I feel very uncomfortable.
Oh man. Oh, ground pound misses. It's a frog versus a turtle. That is the matchup we've got going on right now. Or is it a toad? I don't actually remember. I'm pretty sure Globox is a frog. TWK, can you confirm production? We need a confirmation here. I don't
production,
know
let us know, because I'm curious. I
have
no idea what this thing is.
We call the downsig the toadnado, but really that's just discriminating when it comes to amphibians. There's like 5 different actual species. Anyways, Kaio coming back to the stage, weapon toss, comes forward, side sig hits, and he's out of there. The blasters are looking warmed up, Sparky, and so far so good for him in this game number 1 as he has a stock lead.
He's going to have the weapon advantage here. One's going to spawn in. He doesn't actually really attempt the weapon start. He just kind of plays around it, using it as a trap. Almost found that ground pound, which actually would have been a nice extension of the damage. Oh, somehow finds that recovery there, keeping himself alive on this first stock. Kaio's looking to take it out. That's a color change, baby, from yellow to orange. Even though Kaio does find the quick response, getting the KO off the top, he's about halfway through this second stock as Hyper spawns in fresh.
Yeah, you're right. Those blasters looking pretty warmed up. That's a significant damage lead and still finding the hits. Kaio dodging away from that signature this time, turning it into a big damage punish.
He really wants that down sig to work. We saw him using it in that game 1. Oh, but there's the down air on the stage. That's what I'm talking about, TWK. Demon Island, Crystal Temple doesn't matter. When he's edge guarding with down air, sure, he pivoted it that time. He didn't do an immediate fast fall, but he's still been using it to such great effect to get these edge guards, get these early stock leads, and the D-Light side sig, punishing Kaio for sidelining off stage. Uh-oh.
Double ground pound.
I think still gonna get
enough? No! No!
Oh,
he just missed the touch! He got the chase touch! He had so many chances!
Oh,
so here's the thing. I actually think that's fine for Hyper. He got 2 nairs while falling, right? Like he got plenty of damage in.
He could have extended that, though. He got KO'd in the orange. Yeah. I want to see that again. Hopefully we can see that one in slow motion from production.
Oh. What?
Kaio just going to ground pound off stage.
Hyper, what?
Yo!
No, is that it?
Oh my gosh, the double side signature to seal the deal. Kaio thanking his lucky stars that, you know, things kind of went a little pear-shaped on that second stock.
Oh,
All right, that's 2 things we need to see in slow motion then.
Yes.
There's a lot that game, for sure. Okay, the ground pound
There's
flashed
the dodge.
with that nair. He touches, I think, so this time he makes it back right away, and then he nairs, like, I think frame perfect nair after this.
Oh, he pulled away from the wall at the last second.
Yeah, that's tough. He even did the chase dodge up like he should. So, man, that is just so tough. Kaio just really capitalizing on these opportunities, and we're seeing Hyper swap over to the Reno. We love a Reno pick. Everyone is always stoked when someone pulls out the Reno.
And thank goodness, because production just gave us like a Wikipedia entry on the species that Globox is, and I don't feel like we have the time to talk about it right now, so we're on to Reno as we're going into game number 2, and Kaio still staying on the Michelangelo. Picks up the, tried to get over his head with the cider. That will actually just knock the orb out of Hyper's hands, as blasters all around for Hyper so far, but he's been really going around to the Legend roster when it comes to these blasters picks.
Oh my gosh, he picked that one up. That's going to have a lot of force on it, even though it sends it that 45-degree angle to the top left or top right, depending on where you hit it, which is a really far away blast zone. Still finds the KO there. It does have that little bit of extra force on it to kind of help you out with that one. He attempts it again, too, but Hyper was just out of range of it.
Man, really going for that pizza slice. Kaio's sword has been popping off this entire set. I mean, especially last game, it was all about the dunks. Ground pound into the side signatures.
Yeah, this is the stock.
Oh, but Hyper's got dunks too.
Man, Reno has such interesting signature options. They're actually pretty low power all across the board. Like with the chainsaw style signature on the down sig, the longer that you hold it, it's not getting more powerful. And the neutral sig on orb isn't super great at spiking either in terms of the distance. But the point is that you catch players out of it when their jumps are already gone. And that's what happened to Kaio on the left side of the stage there, as Hyper equalizes the stocks and has brought the damage to equal as well.
and you can catch players so high with it, which is means you can be further away from the edge and still get that 45-degree spike. They don't have to be like right above and to the left of your head. It has that extended range that gives you some flexibility to still get the spiking properties of it.
Oh, he's really big.
he likes them noises.
Hey, they are fun signatures to use, that's for sure. Oh, recovery hits. Kaio tries to get the second recovery of the orbs picked up. Here, Hyper. Let's see. Reno's got this like interesting rock, paper, scissors moment where when he's in neutral and he's facing down his opponent, you either go for orb sidelight or you go for orb neutral signature. You're going to read for them to stay grounded or go for the jump, or the third thing being that they dodge, right? But let's see what Hyper picks here in these situations. Of course, now on the blasters, back to the orb. What's it going to be?
Keeping them guessing.
Was a little wild.
You know, we were so focused on the signatures. It's just that falling side air. And I guess that's the mix-up, right? You condition them, get them thinking about all those big, heavy attacks, and then you just punch them right in the face.
Oh, no. He thought that he was going to land after the gravity cancel side zig, put out the downlight, but then Kaio just jumped out of the attack and punished him for committing to such a move. And Orb picked up. Nice sidelight D-light, but no recovery afterwards, and Kaio is just following him right into the sky. Oh, didn't know the distance. And he gets punished for it.
Man, Hyper's really bringing this one back. Turns that neutral signature around. Hyper kind of started this one looking shaky. I was a little bit worried about the orb. Finds the neutral signature there, but just like his blasters, he just needed a little bit of warm-up time on this Reno. He's bringing this one back. Already has Kaio in knockout damage. He might find the KO here shortly, but Kaio fighting back, extending these strings with the gauntlets, keeping it going with the weapon tosses as well.
Does he have D-Light recovery in his repertoire? That would be huge here. One D-Light, and he could lead into a recovery, but he's been going for these sidelight pokes, and maybe he just doesn't want to commit to the D-Light. Doesn't need to.
Oh my gosh, just the very tip of that. You know, he was looking for that neutral signature around mid-game. It wasn't really working out so well. Kaio, however, jumped into it on that second to last time, and Hyper's like, I got your number.
Oh, and Kaio, after that loss, switching from one crossover to another, Poe is coming back for game number 3 to go against Hyper. And Hyper with the predictive switch off the Reno is like, yeah, that was fun, but I don't like it. I'm back to the Barasa. And he's going to be bringing that out again for game number 3 here as we're over to a tri-platform stage.
Oh my goodness. You see the graph right there? That second stock from Hyper extended for so long. That was a massive wedge of blue there when he initially started off behind. But now Kaio swapping over to this. He has the fantastic spear that we saw earlier. Not on the Bryn just yet. He'll have to win this game. Maybe if he wants to find another one, though. I believe he could lose this one and still bring out the Bryn, but Hyper coming out with an axe of his own this time on the Barraza swap. He's moving away from the Reno. He's like, okay, I did that one once. I don't want Kaio to figure that one out, so I'm going to swap back.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Barraza did phenomenal work for him in his previous set, and it's looking pretty good. The barrel roll again? All day.
Yeah, and he dash jumps, turns around, faces the other way from the weapon, and he pivots the down sig to punish Kaio for even thinking about picking it up. And he's off the stage, 4 hits at the recovery. Disgusting. Oh, so I mean, at that point of damage, slide charge, pivot, neutral sig actually would have just ended Kaio's stock for sure now. But Kaio's definitely looking out for that. Hyper goes for the side air instead. Weapon throw almost catches him. Oh, and that fast fall down air almost pays off. Hyper just on another level with the Barasa.
I'm a little bit surprised that KO'd from the middle of the stage. See Kaio charging up that throw, kind of delaying his movement over to the weapon spawn as long as he can. Spawn comes back in. Hyper's able to grab it immediately. It is the axe, and Kaio's in red. You see how far that sent him, even though Hyper is unarmed. Weapon spawn comes in. The recovery sends off screen. Didn't even need a weapon.
Great punish. Oh no, the second blast punishes the spot dodge.
That feel when you react
straights.
The feel when you react to the startup of the signature, not the actual signature. You just hear the blast, you're like, oh, spot dodge. Uh-oh. And then it's like, joke's on you. This signature is incredibly slow. Oh, but Hyper doesn't make it back. And he evens up the game right away.
You know, it's crazy that Kaio was able to slide charge that signature. That is one of the most difficult ones to slide charge in the game because it stops you so quickly. So it's like at a very specific speed and range that you can actually get it to bleed over the edge.
Good movement and dodging coming out from Hyper here. Still maintaining the lead. Kaio hasn't found too much momentum. He's found a hit here and there. That's a nice 3-hit string to bring it back. 4-hit string,
five.
ending in a signature, actually sending Hyper off screen. Now Kaio is all of a sudden in the lead.
Yeah, the big thing there before
Well,
okay.
Oh.
That was...
You sure the Sparky Curse isn't a real thing?
Another stock gone way sooner than I expected. I mean, yeah, it's X-Cider, but still, man, that was so soon. There was a huge deal from Kaio because that string that he got with the spear was off of a dodge punish, and he was able to end it with a side step, but no, sidelight side air, just connecting there.
Jeez.
What a great option from there. And no legend swaps. We're not seeing the Bryn. Kaio's putting it all in Poe. If he's out, he's out. Because it's match point, as Hyper is now up 2-1.
We're going back to the Enigma here. You're right, we aren't seeing the Bryn coming out. I was a little bit surprised once he locked in the Poe, the Wu Shang pick. He's going to start off with the spear here. No major follow-ups off of that sidelight like he found at the end of last game. That was kind of the only one he found, too. So it's not like he's banking those 4-hit, 5-hits every stock.
Man, but Hyper is just banking 5 hits uncontested, keeping Kaio out. A little bit of a damage lead, and especially now that he's over on the axe, he can contest that spear's range.
Oh, he went for the sidelight cider again, but that time Kaio ready for it. Sidelight cider on axe, incredibly hard to hit true. I'm pretty sure it's only true at lowish damage. After that, going for it.
You gotta get like a meaty hit at the end, and that was a real meaty chop. Early stock.
Oh no, and now weapon spawn comes in. Kaio with the gauntlets, but sidelight nair comes through. I thought Hyper was going to extend it even further. This time he might. Sidelight side air. So many axe combo starters.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Hyper's just been destroying him.
He's chopping him up
so
hard.
Dunks.
Yo! Kaio fighting back. Nice offstage engagement. Going to go his way. Taking out that stock super early. Going to at least even it up for stocks. Hyper's going to be looking for the weapon. 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits,
Look
5
at this
hits.
movement.
Oh, axe picked up. Side sig put out, hoping that he was going to spot dodge in place again, I suppose. But Kaio dodged away that time. Okay,
Oh, wow.
Kaio.
Okay,
Wait,
actually,
what?
just bet.
Wait! Kaio's a
He
genius.
bet it all and he broke his ankles?
Okay.
Kaio's a genius.
I need to see that again, but I'm pretty sure Hyper just ran off stage and lost his stock. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
The bloodlust was too...
What, did you see something different, Sparky?
Yeah, Hyper just didn't have the stones to keep going. They played a game of
okay.
chicken. He thought that down signature was going to end, and it just didn't. And he got in trouble down there. He was burning options, and Kaio is an absolute genius, the bravest man alive. Still going to take away his stock, though, Hyper, making sure this one might not end as quickly as the fans out there might hope for it to. Hoping to chop away at this final stock from Kaio. That's a color change. It's yellow.
Yeah. Oh, try to go for another one, but Kaio just ran right into the dead zone of the X sidelight. And Hyper proving that he had the downlight recovery in his repertoire. Guy on the platform, no less. It was a really tight combo for him to get, but he got it. And now Kaio, with a damage lead, looking for the starter on the spear. He hasn't thrown anything out yet. It's just been movement so far. Oh, but the first attack he puts out, that's a punish. Pogo comes through. He's saying, oh, what?
That was kind of cute.
I thought that was a
Oh
stock.
my gosh.
Oh, but Hyper has no jumps.
Does have the dodge.
he misses up.
Just shy of the corner. Oh my gosh.
I think he did
Yeah,
it on
I'm thinking
purpose.
about that one, but not for too long.
What?
The breakdance. Kaio bringing it all the way to a game 5.
That is such
I
a
think
Poe thing
Kaio
to do.
ending that ground pound on the platform, like that was definitely the better thing that could have happened.
think
You
so?
saw how high he started it. It was totally telegraphed. Like no shot Hyper
let's see
was
what
not going to be able
happens
to
here.
punish that.
He just slid so far with the
He
down
really
tilt.
thought that
Yeah,
was going to hit.
Hyper lost his mind after watching that, and I can't believe it, but Kaio brings it to a game 5 with the Poe on Small Enigma after that amazing offstage interaction. It's the best way I can describe it. Yeah, look at the graph.
Dude, look at that middle wedge, man. Oh my gosh, it's so short
Beefy.
because it was an early KO, and it's so skinny because it was so fast. Kaio had the complete bravery to ride that one out when Hyper probably Lucian laughed, thinking that was going to be the freest punishment for a KO in his life.
That was the best way to describe his mood in that
All right,
moment.
so now that we're back over on Demon Island, I'm just expecting Kaio Bolinha to have double dunks all day. It seems like that's kind of what he goes for. He had amazing clips off of the double gauntlet ground pound, and I want more.
Ooh, dodge the weapon throw. Pretty big deal. Side air is Hyper trying to babysit the edge with no weapon. Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, did the weapon... Okay, luckily I had the feed on my, my monitor, and I went to check really quickly. The spear weapon toss just barely was out of range of interrupting the announcing, so even though Kaio thought he covered his landing, he didn't, and Hyper slid right in with the announcing. The tumble after he releases the charge caught him off guard, and that was Kaio's first stock gone.
I don't know if Kaio's going to be able to close this one out. It is a Game 5 situation. He's going to punish that easily.
No.
Kaio might as well have held it, hoping that Hyper was going to jump the gun
I think
and
he
try to
did
punish
hold
it
it.
early and fall into it. So, I mean, it was definitely a risky choice to try in the first place, but charging it was probably the better answer there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, tough to say. Wow! Sidelight into the dash
What?
jump recovery to beat out the wake up. Kaio, you saw it, stuffed the recovery. He was trying to answer, but Hyper just too quick.
No. And it knocked out on Demon Island off the top of all stages. Hyper is really not happy about what happened in Game 4, and he is just tacking on the hurt D-Light side air. Oh, Neutral Light gets the down air
yeah.
side air. Hyper with
Oh
the
my
weapon
gosh.
throw. Neutral Sig to finish it. Oh. Clip ruined. Clip ruined Hyper.
So you just want the neutral sig,
Come
even when
on.
it's in a terrible
Here,
spot.
This is
He's gonna
perfect.
do it.
No, that was actually perfect, and you know it. Oh, okay, cool. That was
The
actually cool, too.
gutsy spot dodge. That's a Game 5 victory. Hyper looking absolutely dominant with the 3 stock. He's going to be continuing on through the bracket. So confident.
What can I say, Sparky? That's how I know that he's just picking Barasa and not maining him, right? Okay, if you're not hitting with a neutral sig every other stock, what are you
Hyper
doing?
will pick up an axe in white, and his opponent is white. Like, it'll be the first weapon he picks up in the game, and Taza is already over there itching and fiending for a neutral signature right off the bat.
I said it 3 times this set, okay? It
Bro,
wasn't
look at-
that bad.
Boys, look at that graph. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
What a
yeah.
big wedge. That's because that was...